Today's special speaker is Brian Walker. He is someone with the depth of his spiritual knowledge. His wisdom adds to my awe and my getting small. I'm happy to welcome, here is Brian.
Yeah, good. Take that away. Thank you. So a priest and a minister and a rabbi are discussing when life begins. And the priest says, life begins at conception. And the minister says, life begins when the fetus is viable. And the rabbi says, life begins when the kids leave home and the dog dies. Can anybody relate to that out there? So our theme for this month is life. And it's based on Traditional Unity's 12 powers. So that Charles and Myrtle Fillmore created this idea that we have this metaphysical or spiritual framework of these capacities and abilities that are identified as 12 powers. And so they are faith, strength, wisdom, love, power, imagination, understanding, will, order, zeal, elimination, and life. And so our themes for this year, for the 12 months, are one of these powers each month. And so in January was will, February was love, and this month, March, is life. Okay? So in this idea about life as a power, as a capacity, as this ability that we innately have, it's the ability to energize or revitalize or to make whole, so that it's an energy kind of idea. And it's about using the inherent energy of life that we each have to manifest as health and vitality and enthusiasm in our daily living. By cultivating this power of life, we can experience aliveness and overcome inertia in our lives and maintain a vibrant and dynamic sense of presence so that we can be fully engaged with life. And it's interesting to me that we know that all living things, from viruses to human beings, have this capacity that we call life and demonstrate life, and yet scientists can't truly define what life is. If you might remember in your biology class, that you learned a list of characteristics, that it responded to stimuli, that it could reproduce, that it could evolve. Anyway, there's this whole list, but there's still a discussion, even in the scientific community, what exactly life is. And if you think about, if you've ever had the opportunity to be present to someone who's making their transition, you realize that at some point, this thing that we call life leaves this invisible capacity, and even though the body is still there, it's not alive anymore. Something has happened, and the life is no longer evident. So we can see life as a mystery. And even Jesus and all the mystics from all the religious traditions still don't define exactly what this inner quality is, especially this inner depth of our being, this divine quality that we have as life. And so we can see life as a mystery and life as a gift. that it's something that is not something to be taken for granted. In traditional Christianity, for a lot of traditional Christians, they think of this human experience as that we human beings are somehow fallen, and that concept of original sin for some groups is very predominant. But Matthew Fox, who's a well-known theologian, he's written a book titled Original Blessing. Original blessing. So not seeing life or human beings in some way as defective, but that living this life is a real gift and a blessing. In the scriptures, it says, Jesus in the gospel says, it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. It is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. And so part of that kingdom is this gift of life. And so when Jesus refers to the kingdom in the Gospels, he's referring to the kingdom of heaven, or in some Gospels call it the kingdom of God. And so frequently you hear descriptions of this kingdom. And it'll be, the kingdom of heaven is like, ... So the kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed. Or the kingdom of heaven is like a pearl of great treasure. Or the kingdom of heaven is like a wedding banquet. But so that's one of Jesus' central teachings about this kingdom of heaven that we are invited to and gifted with. Now, of course, in New Thought, we don't think about it as something that happens to us at the end of our lives, either heaven or hell, but it is a consciousness and awareness that we have that is ever present, that we can be aware of or not. This kingdom of heaven. It's a divine reality that is taught in all of the mystical traditions. Now, in the spirit of life as a mystery and life as a gift, I've titled my talk today, Celebrate Yourself. Celebrate yourself. And to celebrate, of course, means you can have a special occasion, or it means to honor something. So when I say celebrate yourself, I don't mean to lead a hedonistic life, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, that sort of thing. Many of us here have tried that, right? And we survived, barely, but we're still here. So, celebrations can be, with the noisemakers and and all that kind of stuff. But that, a lot of times, is, kind of shallow and meaningless and not really coming from the heart. And in fact, religious rites and celebrations can be in a similar way. That it can be a lot of times just kind of a form that we go through or a ritual that, is really not connecting with our hearts. And that's really, when you look at it, about the kind of same value as a kind of celebration where you're just, making the noisemakers and all that kind of stuff, wearing masks, whatever. Eric Butterworth, Unity minister, has a wonderful idea and a concept. So instead of thinking about worship, he says that all of the religious rites and activities that we should do should be about worthyship. Worthyship. That it should make us feel worthy. Not that we're sinners, but that we are worthy of living and experiencing this amazing kingdom that it is the Father's good pleasure to give us. So now, New Thought, of course, emphasizes the power of positive thinking and the belief that we can manifest our desires through alignment with divine principles. And so frequently we hear the term co-creators, that we are co-creators of our experience and of our reality. And so while that's very empowering and gives us a sense of who we truly are, there is a little caveat that comes with that. And so it's that we can get a little bit carried away with that. So I want to explore that a little bit, and to do that, I'm going to use another scriptural quote, and it's this one. It's the first beatitude, which comes from the Sermon on the Mount. It says, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." There's that kingdom again. It keeps showing up. For theirs is the, blessed are the poor in spirit. Now, when we hear that in New Thought, we think, wait a minute here. Poor in spirit. Who's poor in spirit? Not us. We're abundant. Can I get an amen? Amen. Yeah. Come on. We're abundant. So what's all this about? I mean, we think poor in spirit and you think kind of, low energy, kind of depressed, not engaged in life, really not having a good time. We see ourselves as being, rich in spirit. So poor in spirit is kind of an archaic kind of term. But if we think about it, well, let's look at it from a metaphysical perspective, okay? And so we think of ourselves as children of God, co-creators, as I've mentioned, and that we have this amazing power. So why should we ever conceive of ourselves as poor in spirit or humble, which is what it stands for, or humility? Why should we have that? Well, there are a couple of reasons. Because there are some people in New Thought who do get carried, and nobody here I know, but there are some people who get a little bit confused about this and what there might be in terms of being a co-creator can lead to kind of an inflated sense of personal power and control over our life circumstances, so that when things don't happen the way that we think that they should. Anybody had that experience? A lot of people are having that now. We get kind of confused, like what's going on around here? This isn't the world that I want to co-create. So that can be a little confusing for us, and we can have kind of a sense that we should be able to control some of these things when there are some limits to that. And so another kind of aspect of this propensity that some New Thought people can have as being co-creators, and it can foster this kind of self-centered kind of mindset, so that instead of kind of seeing everybody as interconnected and everybody as related and that we're all in this together, there can be this kind of idea that, maybe I'm a little bit more special than some of those other folks out there, like a lot of them. And so that's a risk to kind of really creating a kind of community-oriented kind of feeling, and that you can get a little carried away with that. And so there's a real possibility of this kind of ego inflation, that we really get over-identified with our ego and think that we're really pretty cool, and that New Thought might be a little better than some other traditions. I know you have never had that experience. In fact, Matthew Fox, that theologian I mentioned earlier, he was out at Unity Village while I was there. And he said, using Jung's idea of the shadow, he said, Unity's shadow is that we think we have no shadow. Don't say it, Matthew. So let's look at this idea of blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven, from a more metaphysical, spiritual kind of perspective. And so what that means is that we are open and that we're humble, that we realize that we are co-creators. At the same time, there's a greater reality that that we have divine guidance, that we are teachable, We're still learning stuff. So poor in spirit could mean that we're a little bit more detached from our ego, that all of the spiritual traditions encourage this idea of the witness, that you can see yourself. And so we can be a little bit kind of step back and go, oh, is that the way I really want to be? A little bit of separation there. And poor in spirit means, and it offers this idea that you can recognize the divine source. Because we remember we're co-creators. Somebody once said, if God is your co-pilot, you need to change seats. So the idea that, being poor in spirit, that we're teachable, that we're humble, that we can open our hearts to realizing the value of everybody, and that we can acknowledge the source, the divine source of who we are, really very critical to enter into the kingdom of heaven. It gives us access to the kingdom of heaven. So it's something that's really worthwhile to cultivate, this whole poor in spirit idea. So I was talking with my spiritual director, who is my former teacher from ministerial school. And so I was talking with him about this idea. And he shared with me this experience that he had. So to get his certificate as a spiritual director, he went to a monastery not very far from Kansas City, about an hour out of Kansas City, that is run by nuns. And they run the program there where he got his certificate for spiritual direction. And he said one of the things that impressed him so much about being there was how humble and the humility that all of these nuns showed. And he said, there were some really, really talented, accomplished people amongst their group. People with PhDs and other advanced degrees, people who have written noteworthy books, tremendous artists, musicians. He said these people, a number of them, had resumes that would really impress anybody. But they were so, so humble. And so it really got across to him that, there are these two kinds of sides to this coin. One is knowing that you're worthy. We know that we're worthy, right?
Yes.
And the other is, having this kind of sense of personal over-exaggeration of who we really are. And so there's this balance that we need to keep. And in truth, and that's truth with a capital T, from the human experience is paradoxical. So it's paradoxical that we affirm we're whole right now. Right now. We affirm that in New Thought that we're whole. And at the same time, that we're learning, we're growing, we're evolving our consciousness. So we're whole and complete, and yet we're still on this journey, this paradox. So I know what you're all thinking out there. Okay, Pastor, you've got the point across now. What's the takeaway here? What's the practical part of this? So one spiritual teacher says, and I like this quote, life is God's gift to us. What we make of it is our gift to God. So we have this gift. What are we going to do with it? This is the power that we have as co-creators. What are we going to do with it? So again, from the perspective of the 12 powers, life as one of those inherent capacities that we have, what are we using this power to energize, to vitalize, to enliven, to make whole? What kind of projects, what kind of activities, manifesting healing in our bodies, all of these different things that we can do. What are we doing with this capacity to transform our consciousness from being ego-centered to Christ-centered? Ego-centered to Christ-centered. So, that's what I'm inviting you to question and to think about. How am I using my life energy? What is it that I'm doing that, and how's that showing up in my life? How's that working for me? How is it serving me? How's it serving others? How is it serving the divine order? So I ask myself that question. My life energy, how am I using that? And so the first thing is, I want to be centered in the divine. I want to direct my energy toward making the deepest connection that I have to the deepest part of me, and that's my divine part. So cultivating a spiritual practice and awareness, cultivating the witness, watching, is this who you want to be? Walk, doing all of those things. So that's the first thing. Next is, I focus on my little family. My beautiful wife, our little puppy dog. Our families, our kids and grandkids and that kind of stuff. A few friends. So relationships are really, really important. Really important to cultivate those and direct your energy, your life's energy, to really investing in that. When I move out a little farther, this spiritual community. Whoops, I forgot something. And that is... So some of you have met my little puppy dog, others of you haven't, but you've heard of him. But he's kind of my symbol that I think about as really life energized. So if you can picture that Kathy and I have been out for the evening and we come home, what we might come home to. See, now that to me is life. And he lives it like that. We're out walking on the beach and he loves everybody. All the other little doggies and yeah. So again, stepping out a little bit wider, our community here, our spiritual community here. This is where I direct my life energy to. I'm really honored to be the leader here and to have that capacity to say, yes, let's get together. Let's listen to Spirit. Let's respond to that call. What are we called to do as individuals, as a community? When we look out at the world and we go, oh my God, it's like, what are we called to do? And to do that. So yes, and we do it. We do a lot of things that really cultivate that awareness of who we are and what we have to give. So I'm very proud of that and proud to be here in this community with you. So whether you think that life starts when the kids leave home or whenever, now is the time. Now is the time. So my invitation to you is to ask yourself about that. What am I doing with my life energy? And how is that working for me? One of the United States' greatest poets, Walt Whitman, 19th century American poet, his most famous poem is Leaves of Grass. And he had a section in there called I forgot what it was called. It's called Song of Myself. And he writes, I celebrate myself. I celebrate myself. And he got a lot of criticism for that, because a lot of people didn't understand the way that he was saying that. And I think he was saying it in exactly the way that I've been talking about here. Life is a gift. Life is a mystery. We are given this amazing human life. It's amazing. This universe that we live in is amazing. To explore this, and I think that he would agree with this idea that he and you and each one of us are the universe celebrating itself as each one of us. You are the universe celebrating itself as you. Whoa, how about that? That's one you can take away, friends. That's a keeper. So I want to end with an affirmation, and I want to just explain to you a little bit here first. So here's the affirmation. Just hold on. I know you want to get into it, but just hold on. So, I am pure love, bringing into manifestation my world according to divine law. Okay? So I am pure love, bringing into manifestation my world according to divine law. So here is, so let me just say a few words. First of all, I'm pure love. I mean, that's pure new thought. We're claiming it. God is love, I'm love. Pure love. Bringing into manifestation my world. That's co-creating. Okay? We're co-creating here. Bringing into manifestation my world according to divine law. So we're acknowledging there is a bigger order than us, and there is a higher source that we are an expression of, but we're being open and allowing that to express through us. So I am pure love, bringing into manifestation my world according to divine law. Okay, are we? I am pure love. So let's break it down that way. Just let's start with I am pure love. I am pure love, bringing into manifestation my world, bringing into manifestation my world according to divine law. According to divine law. Okay? So it is pure love, we're co-creating, and we're also acknowledging God. Okay, let's try it all together. I am pure love, bringing into manifestation my world according to divine law. Okay, friends, live it. God bless you.